it's Sarika back on the Altenew YouTube channel, and today we're going to be using this enormously gorgeous and quite literally enormous Flourishing Bouquet stamp and a layering set or layering stencil set. Now we're going to be using the Stampwheel 2.0, and we are going to need to remove that removable part on the Stampwheel 2.0, and we're going to put a whole sheet of 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock in that. And then we're going to take this out and we're going to very, very carefully peel this off. This is the first time I'm using this, so this whole video is like an experiment. And the reason it's an experiment is because I am literally going to dive into the whole let's step outside of my comfort zone, because I feel like I need to put a little bit more of a pep in my step when it comes to my creativity. Sometimes I feel like I get stuck in a rut, and I think it's quite easy to do that because we kind of, we get into like a routine of using like the same, whether it be the same colors or the same kind of theme for a card, whatever it might be. And sometimes we just need to, kind of shake things up a little bit and step outside of that comfort zone that we have created for ourselves, no matter how comfortable it is in there. I mean, I got all my snacks, I've got like a comfortable little seat in here, but sometimes we really do need to kind of push ourselves and see what else we can do with our creativity. So this card making hobby can bring so much joy, but I am well aware of the fact that it can also bring a lot of frustration. And for me personally, whenever I feel like I'm just, like I said, just kind of stuck in a bit of a rut, I tend to try something completely new. So whilst using Silverstone ink isn't completely new to me, I have been using that quite a lot in the last couple of months, especially because I just kind of got a little bit, not sick of black ink, but I just wanted a slightly different look. So I've kind of been, rather than diving off into the deep end, I have been kind of with baby steps, stepping outside of my comfort zone here. And I really, really love the way that it's giving a clear sort of outline of the stamp, but it's not super overpowering. So hopefully, if this is something that you kind of been looking at your card making thinking, I don't know, I can't quite put my finger on it, this is just something I feel like is very samey, just try a slightly different ink for like your outline stamping. Just that alone will change the look of your cards so fast and so quickly. But now, so with these layer stencils, because they are so big and we're using a whole sheet of cardstock, I will be using some masking tape to hold these in place rather than using a grippy mat, because I don't actually have the big one, like the rectangular, where is it, 9.5 by 12 inch wide one. So I'm going to be using some masking tape. And normally I use, pinks and purples and yellows for the flowers, and then, some kind of shade of green, whether it be like a more yellowy toned or slightly bluish toned color for the leaves. But here I thought we are going to do so this is not exactly monochrome because it is a mix of 5 ink colors. So I'm actually using strawberry, pink diamond, pinkalicious, peachy keen, and mandarin burst. So it is 5 colors. However, I'm trying to blend them in a really, really soft way. So it's almost giving a bit of a, ombre is not exactly the right word, but say like a peachy pink. We're going to go with peachy pink color. So like a peachy pink monochrome. So normally, as I said, I tend to do leaves in a very kind of natural greeny look, and flowers very sort of pink or at least bright. And here I'm going to go the entire image. So every single layer of these layer stencils, we are just going to go with these colors. Everything is going to be, what they would say, pink peachy pink. Peachy pink is probably better. Yeah. So this entire thing is going to be peachy pink. So I think the second stencil, I am going slightly heavier with the pink, but that is essentially like the only difference really. And I was questioning myself many, many times. So if you are also like a bit of an overthinker when it comes to your crafting, this is, again, just watch and trust the process. this was a big thing for me because honestly, I was just thinking, where is this going? Like, Erica, what are you thinking? But I stuck with it, and I'm so glad I did, because I wasn't expecting to like the outcome as much as I actually ended up doing. And if I hadn't pushed myself to step outside of my coloring comfort box, as well as trying this gorgeous, enormous stamp, I wouldn't have had this experience. And that is something I think we can sometimes underestimate, just how important it can be for our creativity. Because now I'm looking at the stamp set and I'm like, ooh, the amount of color combinations that you can do with this, it's like, ooh, honestly, your imagination is the only limitation. So sometimes we just need to unleash it and let it run wild, and kind of don't hold back. Just don't overthink, just go with the flow and see what happens. And then if you need like proof of it, just film the whole thing. Just set up your phone and just film the whole thing, and then watch it back and kind of see the magic unfold. It really is quite special to watch it when it happens. So I'm really glad that I decided to film this whole thing and just kind of see like where it happened. And I know a lot of this is sped up because it's a big stamp. It's a lot of layering stencils, and I mean, I was here ink blending for quite a while. But when you watch it back in a time lapse, you kind of almost get like a super infusion of that creativity, I think. And here, whilst some of these bits and pieces are a little bit more pronounced, I could have gone in with the stencils again and just added a little bit more detail and contrast and stuff. But I thought, you know what? Nope, that is what I would have done previously. So we're just going to leave it as it is. But obviously we're going to chop it up. You know, we're going to chop it up into pieces. And I did sprinkle some gold watercolor on there because, you know, what project doesn't get slightly elevated with a little bit of sparkle and shimmer? Now, I have stamped up some sentiments, quite a few actually, or I will be stamping up some sentiments. And because obviously, if you stamp this right, you will get 4 panels out of this. I maybe didn't place it completely right, and I decided to cut mine into 3. But first off, we're going to do our sentiments. And for these, I did use black ink because I wanted this sentiment to kind of be, not center stage maybe, but I do want the sentiment to kind of be like quite crisp and clear so that you don't have to hunt around for it. You can really see quite clearly what the message is. And I mean, who wouldn't be super happy with getting a card that says you're fabulous? You know, that's pretty special, isn't it? And yeah, so these are all stamped up, and this time I'm using the normal stamp wheel, and I will be chopping these into strips so that they can go right across my card panels as well. So I'm just gonna dry off the ink a little bit, just make sure it doesn't smoosh, and then we're gonna chop into fine little banners, and we're going to trim off some of the excess as well. And then these are going to go into our puzzle making pile, and we are going to finish off these cards. So the final bit obviously was to trim the panel. Now this one was pretty straightforward, 2 very good ones there, but this one I was like, oh, okay. So I wanted more of the flowers rather than just have like a little bit on each one. So this is where, if you're a little bit unsure of how to use something, you know, check the Altenew YouTube channel. There's, you know, a video for almost every single product on here. So just check that out, see if there's any tips and tricks if you don't want to kind of waste time, if you like. And then, so with this one, I decided to trim it so that I would get a panel with lots of the image and the leaves and all of that. So instead of 4, I did end up with 3. But I mean, 3 cards out of 1 panel is still really, really good, isn't it? I mean, I think so. So one of these I did trim off a little bit more so that I could pop it up with, or pop it onto a card base, and then you get that nice little white frame around it as well. I really like that. It's just like a nice little touch, isn't it? And then it was just a case of puzzling the sentiments on top of which one of these panels. And because I had stamped up 4 sentiments, because I thought I was gonna or end up with 4 panels, I decided to use 2 of the sentiment strips on one of the cards. And this one, the one that I trimmed down a little bit, I did pop that up with a little bit of instant dimension foam tape, because also, again, who doesn't like a little bit of dimension and extra detail, you know? It just looks nice, doesn't it? So here we are going to just finish off the last little bits and pieces. This sentiment strip here as well, I trimmed it down just a tiny bit to make sure that it would sit on top of the trimmed down panel rather than sticking out over the edges as well. And because, you know, there wasn't enough dimension on that one, we're going to also pop this up with a little bit of extra foam tape. So yes, you know, here you can go as flat as you want to, or if you're a bit of a layeraholic like myself, just use that instant dimension foam tape. There are 3 different sizes and 2 different thicknesses, so the world is your oyster, really. So now with the other 2, I used just the extra sticky double-sided tape to hold the panels down onto my card bases. And again, like the one with the 2 sentiment strips, this one did get a little bit of extra height as well with some of that instant dimension foam tape. And I cannot overstress like how much I love this stuff. It's so good. Yes, honestly, whoever invented foam tape needs to get like a crafting Nobel Prize, I think. Anyway, so we have our 3 finished sort of panels here, but we had to add a little bit of extra sparkle, of course. So these are the gorgeous stellar sequins. They are coming in June, so hold your horses. It is almost time for the release of those, and this one is the sparkling gold. It's stunning. It's just, honestly, I cannot stress again how much I love these. I have been using them a lot. Teasing you a lot, I'm sure. Sorry about that, but honestly, the weight is worth it. 6 different sizes, each color. There's 6 different colors, 6 different sizes. You are gonna have so much fun with these. They work on so many things, honestly. Oh, so good, so good. I probably should stop babbling about like how I'm turning into a little bit of a groupie for these stellar sequins, but who can blame me? You know, they're just so lovely. So we are gonna sprinkle quite a few. I know, quite a few. Probably my definitions of quite a few is a little bit different from yours, but we are going to sprinkle some sparkling stellar sequins on these cards, because obviously they're not shimmery enough. So, and it just looks nice. It looks really nice. And with the amount of sequins you get in each packet, you know, you're not going to run out in anytime soon, even if you use as many as I do. Yeah. I mean, I've barely seen a dip in them, and I have used so many, honestly. It's almost embarrassing how obsessed I am with these new embellishments, but oh well. You know, life is short. Bring the bling, right? Now, so I am using the glue as well, which is also being released in June. It is so easy to use. It's got a really fine like nozzle, so easy to use with these like little, especially even like the tinier sizes. You just get a tiny little blob there and you pop your sequin on there with the perfect picker and you're done. So good, honestly. A good glue is worth its weight in gold, especially with like the really fine tips, so you get all of those like little details and it's not spilling out everywhere. It's just, yeah, definitely worth the investment. But that is it from me for today. I really hope that this video will have inspired you to step outside of your card making comfort zone and just, you know, see if you can ignite some of that creativity back into your card making journey. Now remember, it's supposed to be fun, it's not supposed to be stressful. And if you need any more tips and tricks, just leave the questions in the comments and I will get back to you. See you soon again.
Hello there. Did that video just spark your creativity? And do you want more project ideas and inspiration videos too? Well, if you do, please make sure that you subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you do click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.